India's telecom giants, Bharti Airtel, Voda-Idea and Reliance Jio have announced higher tariffs this month. The announcements came over the weekend on Sunday evening, in fact, and were widely anticipated, though the quantum of hikes was more than everyone thought it would be. Now, while Bharti and Voda-Idea would implement the hikes from December 3rd, Reliance Jio will implement these hikes from the 6th. The telco stocks, of course, zoomed after the announcement of tariff hikes in all three of these counters. The hikes themselves are around 30 to 40%. In fact, Jio made an announcement yesterday that it will raise its voice and data tariff by up to 40%, but also went on to say that it would give 300% more benefits to all of its subscribers. So what does that really mean for the telecom sector? I have two top experts with me today on the show. Joining me now are Sanjay Kapoor and of course Rajiv Sharma. Sanjay Kapoor is a well-known telecom expert from the industry, and Rajiv Sharma from SBI Cap Securities. Welcome to both of you. Mr. Kapoor, let me begin with the basic question. The tariffs have been hiked, the stock is up, but that's not the big problem these telecom companies have, is it? Are they going to survive even after this steep a hike?
So to begin with, I think these are steps in the anticipated and in the right direction. We all have been critical of the fact that everything cannot be done by the government and the regulators. There's a lot that the telecom companies have to do themselves to be sustainable. And I think price rise is an ask that we have been demanding from the operators in the market. You know, if you just go back a few years and see what are the tariffs and ARPUs that we were accountable for to these telecom operators, I personally was paying a bill which was upwards of 4,000, 5,000 rupees a month, and it has come down to probably 1/10 of that value today. There's no reason why customers like us who are heavy users of telecom will not be willing to pay high. So I think this is in the right direction. 30-40% is the least one would have expected, but is it going to solve their problem? I don't think so. I think they'll have to go much higher, because what is need to be determined is how much of this will move to ARPU increase and how much of relief will this bring to their EBITDAs and free cash flows, which allow them to service their liabilities and also gives them surplus capital in hand to go and invest behind the customer experience. So I think that will determine whether this is enough or not, and my gut feel and sense of the ground tells me this is not going to suffice, because when I look at operators across the globe, even with operators at much larger ARPUs, are struggling to make a business case for the second and third operators. So given India's plight, the large territory that we have to cover, the catch-up game that we have to play, 5G staring at us may not happen for some time, which is okay, but even 4G to become a video grid, I think a lot more capital will be required, and of course such a large glaring debt to be serviced, and now the Supreme Court ruling on AGR, and that needs to be serviced not only for now but for future as well. So I think tariffs will have to go up much more than what they have in the first tranche.
You made an interesting comment there, Mr. Kapoor, talking about, customers like you can surely afford to pay more, but there are fewer customers like you. There's already a bit of noise about the tariff hikes, and we've had the Telecom Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad put out a series of tweets today, defending those hikes, saying they're still the lowest across the world. Rajiv, we've spoken about this before. Do you think there is actual scope to increase more? And at some point, the question is going to be asked, what is the user experience customers are getting? At least Jio is bundling this in, saying that I'm giving you 300% more, amenities.
So the one interesting trend which we see today with this tariff hike announcement is that voice is back. So voice, which was being provided as free, has become part of a fair usage policy. In some plans it is 1,000 minutes, in some plans it is 3,000 minutes, but bringing voice on the radar as a lever to price allows telcos to now reduce it and even bring on-net calls to be priced tomorrow. So there is lever. So it is not just this a headline increase. If users will exceed the voice quota, they will pay more for using voice. So I believe that the next round would be either driven by a floor which the regulator sets on data maybe, or on voice, or on both, and particularly this new lever which has come in to price around voice. But as Sanjay rightly points out, that industry would need more. If Voda is the benchmark, then definitely this price hike is...
Let's come to the specifics. I'm glad you brought it up, because there are three players. And, you know, the entire industry is suffering, etc., etc. But one is worse off than the other two. And we heard that, in fact, when the Voda chief, the international Voda chief came out and, you know, said that my India business is now valued at zero. For them, do you think that this tariff is going to be sufficient, because they're now angling for a further postponement of the 3 months within which they have to pay the government fees?
So it's a big relief, it's a big respite, it's a big step forward. Telcos have demonstrated that they can do something, and they all together have come up and taken this big step. The review petition is already been made, and the way it has been structured is, it is talking about the viability of the industry, viability of the companies. So if some relief comes on interest and penalties, which is the larger part of the problem, we could be, you know, things may start looking better for Vodafone as well. But without any relief on AGR, this entire tariff hike, let me put this way, entire tariff hike from a Bharti perspective, assuming a 80% incremental EBITDA on the revenue earned through tariffs, will flow, so it will be somewhere around 12,000-13,000 crore. And if you look at Bharti's liability, so for the next 3 years, this entire upside is for the AGR payout only. One way to look at this number.
I just want to come back to an argument that was made several times, and Sanjay Kapoor, I'll come to you on this. The AGR payout, and now how to get money for the AGR payout, and I'm putting this in very simple terms. They've been now having to pay a huge sum of money, which they knew could happen because this case has been in court for a while, and now tariffs have been hiked to sort of fund it and keep them soluble. Shouldn't there have been already some kind of provisioning or plan for these payments? Because we knew that the AGR verdict was going to come out, and it could go any way.
So, you know, these are hypothetical situations that we are creating and wanting a reply for that. Can you imagine if somebody who's running a telecom company, the only argument that can happen is, I should have provisioned for it. But provisioning for it in my books of account doesn't mean that much of cash is available. The cash is getting expensed on running your operations, servicing your debt. So the real cash is not available. So even if I had provisioned and there was no cash available, I'm back to square one. So I guess theoretically, yes, some provisioning should have been done, but probably they were optimistic as well to say, you know, they have a solid business argument on this. And why should an AGR take into account anything that is earned from non-telecom based revenues? So I think they were fighting on that premise, and they were convinced that there was no need to provide for it. So I guess that's what, you know, on the hindsight, everybody is, you know, got a better eyesight is all I can say. But forget what has happened. I think what is more important is that the reality is in front of us, and the new moratorium only starts from the 1st of April. They still have a liability to service for the current year, and that's a lot of money between the two operators, I believe some 8,000-9,000 crores. So they need to get that money, whether they raise it through more debt or whether they get some equity, but that needs to be furnished. And you know, as far as the third operator or Vodafone that you were talking about, what we need to really acknowledge here is that some amount of respite because of a 2-year moratorium is there. The price hike will give some extra money to play around with, and you know, probably if this trend continues and we recover a little more for a better customer experience, I think it'll probably come a little handy.
But where is
At
the
least
promise?
It's a better situation than what they were in yesterday.
No, but Mr. Kapoor,
so that's good.
Where is the promise of a better customer experience?
Yeah.
Where is the promise or the definition of a better customer experience?
So absolutely right.
No one is claiming that. Right now the hikes are like a we need this to survive kind of hike.
Yeah, you are absolutely right, Tamanna, and I have talked about this earlier as well, that with any hike in tariffs, there is a new expectation that will get set around the customer experience. And I think this customer experience is not about giving more data free to the customer. I think customers are already inundated on the wireless networks with a lot of data. To have 30 GB of data and consume it within a month is anyway tough. And to even if I was to give 100 GB of data to the customers, what are they going to do if the experience is not right? I think we need to get the experience right. The in-building experience is utterly weak, no matter which operator. That needs to become far better. Videos still buffer on most networks on most points in time during a day. They need to become much more better. And also voice, like what Rajiv was saying, we struggle, although the voice minutes have gone up with this bundling, but we really struggle indoors to get a connection. Half the time you get announcements which say this phone is switched off, when we know the phone is not really switched off. It is out of coverage most of the time. So I think that's very frustrating. We don't mind paying more. I'm sure many more customers don't mind paying more, provided the experience goes up. And I am very clear in my mind that price is not going to determine the winner. The winner is going to be determined based on the customer experience. And that quotient needs to go up. If that doesn't go up, then all this price hike is not going to lead us anywhere.
So where do you see this going from here on, Rajiv? Because the world over, we are seeing a situation where the third player finds it difficult to survive. Most major markets have 2 to 3 players. Even one maybe as large as India. The ministry is now talking about reviving BSNL. MTN, if that happens, they're also, in play. You're seeing increasing tariff hikes and perhaps a consolidation in the industry going forward?
Yes, the way things are, and assuming no AGR relief or not much on the AGR side, we are still talking about tariff hikes and further sector consolidation. Capex is difficult, incremental Capex from Vodafone side, despite this 30-40% tariff hike, seems very tricky, because one point, we'll have to also understand is consumers were paying peanuts for telecom services so far. Now with this, there could be a tendency that they may decide to move to a better network. So if a telco is not able to invest in networks, tariff hikes is one side, but you may start seeing subscriber losses accelerating or subscribers churning to better networks. So any operator who invests in Capex will become the preferred network as well.
And who seems most well positioned to do that as of now?
So Jio has no AGR payouts, AGR related payouts.
Yeah.
So entire increase in tariffs flows down to EBITDA, and EBITDA could flow down to Capex, whether it is wireless, FTTH, OTT, it could be anything. So they have the highest level of flexibility.
Yeah. Sanjay, if I ask you to gaze in the crystal ball for the next 6 to 8 months for the telecom sector, all things being equal, and we don't know what's going to happen with the Supreme Court's review petition in the AGR, whether they will, with the government, take a back foot, we don't know. But as things stand today, with those payments in the picture, do you see this, in any case, going to a two-player market? Tariffs go up, but do you see all three surviving?
I don't think a further consolidation will happen in the next 6 months. I think this will last a little longer. Even a dying entity in the market, if there was to be one ever, will take much longer. I think they have the capability to sustain themselves for a while. And also the impact of what they do in terms of price hikes is going to have a lagged effect. You are not going to see commensurate increase in the average revenues and also in EBITDAs and free cash flows overnight. Even the 13,000, 14,000 crores that Rajiv was talking about are not going to be accrued tomorrow. It will take a while. So I guess industry will still be in a lot of pain. Some will go raise some more equity, which they're already talking about. There are others who might, you look at some other bridge that's possible till the revenues really start propping up and the customer starts expecting that for a better service he needs to pay a better price. but I don't see the situation changing much over the next 6 months. I will still see an industry which will be in a lot of pain.
Absolutely. Well, we hope it's enough pain to bear and the industry does survive, thrive, and remember, okay, you're charging higher tariffs, but let at least there be basic connectivity and service. That is a given and a must. I want to thank both Sanjay Kapoor and Rajiv Sharma for joining us today on this very interesting chat on where the telecom industry goes next.